at this moment, right now in Crown Heights, they're laying to rest a good friend of mine and friend of thousands. His name is Boruch Thaler, Baruch Binyamin Ben Tzvi. He just passed away yesterday. He's 56 years old. He was a light, brilliant soul, brilliant mind, very, very humble, beautiful person, musical, helped thousands of people in many ways, and much of it was using the means of plant medicine, of which I'm a big proponent. Helps, saves lives, and helps many people. It's a miracle medicine. I'm dedicating today's talk to Baruch Binyamin Ben Tzvi, a dear friend and a friend of many, Boruch Thaler. I wanted to be there for the funeral, but it just wouldn't work out timing-wise. So we'll dive right in, and this will be somewhat related also to his life. We're in Parshas Lech Lecha. It's a beautiful song by the 8th day. The chorus starts like this: Avraham, are we the children that you dreamed of? Are we that shining star you saw at night? Are we those shining stars you saw that night? And this parsha talks about how Hashem told Avraham, go outside. He brought him outside, look up at the stars, see how they are and see how many they are. So, Ko yihi ezarcha. So, thus will be your children. And here today in this challenging song, in the 8th day, they ask, are we those stars? Are we the children that you dreamed of? So we have a lot of fascinating things that happen in this parsha. Avraham is married to Sarah for many years. They had no children. She was barren. And then Sarah actually offers Hagar, her maidservant, who the Midrash says was Paro's daughter, in marriage for Avraham to have a child with her, and from that she hoped to have her own. Various interpretations of that, whether she was just going to keep Hagar's child as her own, or because of the sacrifice, God will open up her womb, which is what happened. Now, in the global scheme of things, Avraham took Hagar in, and that was the cause of a lot of our troubles today with our Arab cousins all over the world. So the question is, in a sense, what was Avraham thinking by agreeing to that? What was Sarah thinking by doing it, by offering it? Parenthetically, Hashem says that later on, what happens is that Sarah realized that this boy Ishmael, who was born from Hagar, was a bad influence on her son Yitzchak, and she sent him away from the house. So again here, she brought him in, she sent him away. What was Avram thinking? What was Sarah thinking? And in sending him away, it was a difficult decision for Avraham, as he loved his son Ishmael. So Hashem said to Avraham, Kol asher tomar elecha Sarah shema b'kola. This is a quote that my wife loves. Whatever Sarah says to you, listen to her voice. Whatever Sarah tells you to do, follow it. And that's what she did. That's what he did. And they sent out Ishmael. So what was the debate? What was the global, virtual debate between Avraham and Sarah? Is what we're going to talk about now a little bit. So Avraham was the father of all Jews, but not only the Jewish people, also the father of all the Arab countries, Arab population. Avraham was the father of monotheism. But Sarah, and Avraham wanted everyone to live and be well, and so it should be. But Sarah, the intuitive Sarah, saw that there's a difference between the way Yitzchak and Ishmael are. Their character and personality and trajectory is different. Ishmael, the Arab nations, though they believe in God, monotheism, the Jewish people have a unique role that they don't have. And that's what she was trying to save, and not allow for the Jewish people's message to be diluted by the universal messages of the world, even if they are monotheistic. And that's the basic idea. And the Rebbe explains that there are a few ways that we see this, a few areas in which Ishmael and Yitzchak, or the Arabs and the Jews, differ. And one of them was in the area of kindness. So, in kindness, it says that the Jewish people, one of the marks of a Jew is that they are kind. And there are a few others. But the Arabs are also known to be hospitable, arguably the most hospitable people in the world. So where do they get that from? So kindness and hospitality come under the word, of the root of chesed. Chesed in Hebrew is kindness. Now, with kindness itself, the Kabbalah talks about this and explains that kindness has various motivations and roots. Depending on the roots of the kindness is the value, the true value of the kindness. It's a little noisy here. I might move over to the street, but I found this beautiful new grassy area. They just laid down the grass. I thought I'd try it out, but they're still working, so I might work out. Anyway, so what are the intentions behind the kindness is really what we're talking about here. So the Kabbalah talks about Chesed, the Kedusha, kindness from a holy perspective and a holy source, and then there's Chesed, the Klipa, kindness from the outer shell, from unholiness, from the other side, external. And this is a core difference between the Jewish people and others. And this is the message that Sarah, our mother Sarah, and Avram's wife wanted to instill and maintain in her son Yitzchak, without the distractions and the diluting of the message from her other son Ishmael. So what is the difference? True kindness is Avraham's kindness, that is completely selfless. There's no ulterior motive. The person wants nothing in return, no acknowledgement, no honor, no power, nothing in return. They only have the other's best interest in mind, and that's all. Another kind of kindness is ego-centered. There's a kindness where a person does great things and is kind and charitable and even philanthropic, but their motive is not pure, it's not completely selfless, it's not only for the other. There are strings attached. They want to have other, they want to be graced because of their kindness. I see another field out there. I'm going to try it. It might be a little quieter. So the Jewish kindness, says Sarah, in contrast to the kindness of the Arab nations, is selfless. So ours is Chesed Dikdusha, and theirs is Chesed of Klipa. And this is all, oh my, there's a track here. Check it out. Okay, I'm just looking for better places to run and better places for good data communication with the world through Facebook. Okay, this is my first time running on this track. We'll see what happens. I think. So anyway, so we have these challenges that Sarah Imenu faced thousands of years ago, way back when, was happening today in our society, where we are also challenged to be accepting of everyone, which we are meant to be, but we're also challenged to merge our ideals and our beliefs and our observances with the others. And that's what Sarah said no. Sarah said the Jewish people have a unique role. We're not just part of the chorus of creation. We're one special note. We're a unique note, the note of Torah and mitzvos that have to stand apart and be a light unto the nations. This is an amazing, stunning prediction that I just heard about. From 500 years ago and 2,000 years ago was that the final Galut, the final exile, right before Mashiach's coming, will be that of the Ishmaelites, the exile of Ishmael. Now, what is this exile of Ishmael? First of all, the source is Reb Chaim Vital, who was the chief author and writer, transcriber of the Arizals, the Holy Kabbalists' writings. He wrote 500 years ago, he said that, and he quoted a few different verses, that the final exile will be that of the Ishmaelites. There's known to be 4 exiles, and Rome, Italy, etc., Greece, and one more, and Egypt, of course. But this final one is not quoted in the Talmud. It's just hinted to, because Bekum Aleinu Adam, in the pasuk there's a verse that Hashem will come back to us when this one who's called Adam will come up against us. And in the Torah, Ishmael, the father of all the aberrations, is called Adam, Pere Adam. So he says that's one thing, he says. And then he also quotes Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer, which is a midrash from 2,000 years ago, that says that there are only 2 people, 2 nations that carry God's name, Israel and Ishmael. Now, Israel, we know, is the Jewish people. Ishmael are the Arabs, and she called Hagar, named Ishmael, because God listened, hearkened to her voice. But the word Ishmael, the Yud, Yishma, means future tense. It doesn't mean past tense, that God hearkened, listened to her voice. It means that God will listen. Ishmael, God will listen. What is that talking about? So the Midrash 2,000 years ago says that the final straw of this Galut, of this exile, will be when God listens to the voice of the Jewish people because of the hardships that Ishmael, the Arabs, will inflict on the Jewish people. That's amazing. That's very encouraging too. Unfortunately, we had those hardships already now, on October 7th, and now it's time for Mashiach to come. But how do we get there? Also is related to what we spoke about earlier, by keeping Avram's tradition alive, that Sarah, our mother Sarah, insisted to chase out Ishmael from the house so that he should not influence Yitzchak and the future generations in the purity of the message of the Jewish people and the Jewish morality and moral code and ethical standards. And there's noise again. Maybe I'll go the other way. Oh man. And finally, just to wrap this up, my dear friend Boruch Thaler's funeral, which is happening right now in Crown Heights, going from 770 Eastern Parkway onto the Ohel. The difference between Avraham and the Jewish way of Chesed, of kindness, Chesed Dikdusha, and Ishmael and the Arab or the other nation's way of kindness, which is Chesed Diklipa. The main difference is the source, the root. Is it coming from humility, true humility, and selflessness, only caring about the other, like Avraham did and the Jewish people are challenged to do? Or is it egocentric? I will be kind, but I want something in return. I want recognition or power. etc. in return. This is really directly related to Boruch Thaler. Baruch is a classmate of mine. Very little to do with him over the years, but the little bit that I had to do was very impressive. At 18 years old, we studied together in Morristown, New Jersey, in yeshiva, and I admired him to no end. He literally locked himself up in a closet. There's one closet on the floor in the dormitory, and he kind of locked himself up there and used it as a study. It's a little office, and we saw he was completely immersed in the Hasidic studies. Very noisy here, sorry. Trying to get away from the noise. He was so immersed, he would come out in a complete daze, but also Baruch had somewhat of a photographic memory. So he understood everything he read, he studied, and he remembered it all. Later on, as he grew up a little older, he would remember and recall the Rebbe's talks, the Fabrangans. The Rebbe would talk for 7-8 hours straight on Shabbos, and Baruch would be a small part of that team who would recognize and remember and recall everything the Rebbe said for many hours. When the Rebbe passed away, his life took a bit of a turn, and he, with respect to him, I love him dearly, he became somewhat of a hippie style, and explored other paths while maintaining his Jewish path and his Hasidic path. So he had long hair, and he was colorful, and he was very much into music and into psychedelics, into medical, not for the sake of psychedelics, but for healing. And he helped thousands of people heal through his music, through his inspiration, through his plant medicine. He was a really special soul, and he was always kind and humble. And now many videos are coming out from him. He composed hundreds, if not thousands, of songs, most of them prayers, translations of prayers. Just a genius. He was a PhD level in many areas, and he will be sorely missed. And I'm sure a lot of there's a fund right now. I'm going to pop it into the chat that is going to archive his music and to publish it, his teachings and his music. It's a very special person, Baruch ben Tzvi. I think Baruch Binyamin ben Tzvi. His neshama should have an aliyah, and he should be a good Tibeter. He'll be sorely missed.